What's going on, everybody? Doc from Average Gamer, guys, getting into more Full Metal Furies. Really having a fun time with this game, and just another quick short guide talking through and just giving some perspective, I guess, and some tips on I guess a mid-level boss fight or an end-of-level boss fight, I'll say. This one was really tough for me, surprisingly. We'll talk through it as we get into it here. This is on mission 2-1, which is through Miller's Path. And if you're familiar with this mission and you've played it or you're coming up to it, just watch out. The final enemy in this, the final, I guess, boss fight again, if you will, or mini boss, is called the BAM Squad. You'll see why here in a second, why these guys are just a pain. First of all, this whole mission is kind of a pain because you have those mines on the ground. That just sincerely is extremely frustrating, coupled with these guys that drop the artillery shots on you. Again, this just whole mission it's more frustrating than it is anything else. I will say again, this is probably one of the more difficult mini bosses that at least up until this point I've run into. Now I'm sure, you know, getting into the game there's definitely going to be more, but just this whole fact of how this whole mission is set up, how these mines are played, and you see me just trying to get through here and pop some of these because they're just littered everywhere. Now I really do like the tank for this. As you can see, her ability, her dash ability is really great at actually knocking these out. But here's the BAM Squad. So you're gonna get a couple of these guys at a time. I don't think they specifically are too difficult to deal with, and here's the reason why. One, they don't seem to have a ton of health. They're kind of squishy, as they should be, since they're kind of like a ranged unit or ranged enemy, which is pretty nice. They do a decent amount of damage, as you can see there. Essentially, their attack pattern is to throw 2 bombs at the same time, very much like a lot of the other artillery type throwing abilities or attacks that other enemies have. You're going to see these guys really do that, and you'll see the small 2 red little circles. Now, it's important to note in this boss fight, they have a relatively small range, actually, when you actually kind of look at it. So right here, my character definitely outside of the range. We ended up finishing off the last of the first 3 that we're going to get. Here's where this honestly gets kind of annoying. So I hate these little bloodsuckers, whatever they are. There's just a ton of them. They actually have a pretty decent amount of health when you go to look at it. They can take a couple of shots from my engineer. My engineer is using like the 2nd tier pistol, which does more damage. And as you can see here, a couple of these guys with a couple of close range units all built in and close to each other is what makes this mini boss fight super difficult. The sad thing is about this is I'm learning through this game, as you face these new enemies, very typically you will then end up fighting them at some point later on, and they'll become more normal guys that you will end up seeing. I do again still like the engineer and the tank setup for this, although the ranged attacks aren't as beneficial in this one, except to try to take these little bloodsucker guys out. Now, again, love the tank here, love the scream ability. You see me just popping all the shields off of these dudes, but you can just tell, look at how many freaking enemies are on this right now. That is probably one of the other things that makes this mini boss fight so difficult. You just get spammed with all these guys. Again, you saw them all come in. They were all shielded blue. Luckily for me, again, love the tank, scream ability, the area effect is really awesome, and then I can just go about kind of just you know, picking these guys off with the engineer. This boss fight definitely takes the patience piece of it. You can't kind of run in, you can't just be bashing everything, because between, again, the bombs, between these little sucker guys and, you know, the actual melee attack guys that you're going to have in between, it's just a recipe for failure when you try to get close, and then also, you know, try to keep your distance from these guys. So obviously right here I get kind of caught up, and I'm just trying to be patient. I gotta wait for my guy to heal up, but this is a good instance of how you can see the range. The range is just not very good. They're not throwing those very far. I'm literally standing still. Their accuracy isn't the best. They can really pile the shots on, though, as you can see there, but you can definitely go them over. If you've only got a couple of them, you can kind of set them up to get them in a position that you want. And you'll see if they do space themselves out and you get yourself in between, that's when you can get in a little bit of trouble. So definitely try to avoid doing that. My whole goal here was to try to get these guys off of their shields so that if my tank did go back down, I could just very easily swap over to my engineer. Now that the shields are gone, I could take care of them. So we'll end up knocking this one out. Super happy about that. I was trying to use my abilities to get my mastery up. That's another just good, totally random side tip to do. So make sure that you're getting in there and you're using your abilities. It's tempting to pick up the new equipment and to try to use it. I'm actually going to get a new piece of equipment for the engineer after this. One of her special abilities, I think her Y ability, gets upgraded. I get the ability to get a quick shot. So we'll show you that here, yep, in just a second. But I've chosen to stick with the abilities that I like that fit the playstyle because I want to get the mastery. I at least want to get the mastery all the way up and then start working through the rest of them. You can see my mastery progress with the characters is going pretty good, but definitely keeping an eye and just being cognizant of trying to, again, make the characters fit my playstyle while also not nerfing yourself essentially when you have the ability to get a new item. So you'll see here I got the plasma shot on, which I think is really, really good. Important to note, again, 25% of the ammo. Really like the engineer. Definitely recommend using her if you've not already. But we buy the quick shot, which is new equipment, which essentially allows you to use her Y ability extremely fast. You can see fire rates off the chain. It's 20% of the ammo, so with the weapon I'm using, I think I could get 5 shots out of it, or 4 or 5 shots out of it, which is pretty good depending if I've shot any beforehand. But I'm just gonna stick with, again, I'm gonna stick with the plasma shot just because I have some of the mastery progress towards it already, and it is pretty good. So just again, quick short guide. Wanted to talk through it. Want to talk through that fight. Just be patient. That's going to be my biggest thing. And like I said, I definitely do recommend the tank and the engineer. Great combo to put together to kind of let you take care of those melee units while also still having some survivability with the tank, and then also having the engineer that can kind of sit back and really just kind of ping at a lot of the units, especially the spam of units that you get in. So I've been Doc from Average Gamer, guys. Having a ton of fun playing this game. Let me know if there's any additional guys or boss fights that you guys need some tips with, and let me know how you're enjoying it. As always, thanks for watching. Really do appreciate it. If you're new to the channel and you enjoyed it, please make sure to subscribe. We really appreciate it. So thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.